Hello, hello, hello. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. And today we have a very important show for people who are entrepreneurs or small business people. You know, how do you prepare for what's hitting us right now? We just had George Gammon on earlier and was talking about the inversion of the yield curves and what that means. But also, for many people, in a bad economy is sometimes the best time to start. So it's almost counterintuitive. So today our special guest is Vic Keller. He's the CEO and founder of KLV Capital and Experience Ventures. He's a serial entrepreneur. He can't help himself. And he's also founded a private equity company that goes out and acquires other small businesses, takes them bigger. So he's going to be talking about how you prepare for this crash we're in, but also what does private equity look for in a startup or a small business. But more importantly, how do you survive what we're going into right now? And, you know, I hate to be a pessimist, but being a pessimist is good if you're a pessimist at the right time. You know, you don't want to be an optimist when you should be a pessimist. So I've made more money in bad times than good times because that's when you get started. So Vic Keller, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Grateful to be here with you.
Oh, thank you. And you're in Texas.
I am. I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, great.
One of the greatest places in the world to do business.
Yeah, I'll be out there 2 days from now. So anyway, Vic, tell us a little bit about your background and how you become a serial entrepreneur and as a private equity guy also to acquire small businesses. How did you get started in this business?
Yeah, so out of school, I went to work for J.P. Morgan and decided I was on the wrong side of the table. Had a great career being a banker for 3 years, but I really knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I'd been studying business probably since I was 14 years old and just doing anything I could. So at the young age of 24, 25, with no capital, no resources, and just a lot of blind faith, I decided I was going to be an entrepreneur and went online and formed an LLC and went and got a website and built my first company. And it worked out well. I hired a couple of good people to work along my side, paid them very little because I didn't have much, and really learned an industry and a space and went on to start 9 more companies and then a total of 10. And very fortunately to have those acquired by Berkshire Hathaway. And that was just a ton of fun. Thank you.
For those who may not know who Berkshire Hathaway is, that's Warren Buffett. And he is one of the best private equity guys or private bank guy. Anyway, what was your first business? That's my question.
My first business was recognizing a kind of global opportunity that people wanted to keep their tires properly inflated on their automobiles to keep vehicles safe. It was long before the national safety boards across the world really mandated that tire pressure sensors needed to happen. And I found an extraordinary engineer in Taipei, Taiwan. And I took this product to market, and it acted as what ultimately ended up being really my venture capital funding by selling my own product that allowed me to start a lot of other businesses. But right. I launched that business in 2002. It was called Tire Exam.
Wow. And what did it do in the tire?
So you screwed it on the valve stem of each of the tires. And if it was green, your tires were properly inflated. And as you lost inflation, it turned to yellow and then red. But it was a really important thing for the world to keep their tires properly inflated. And we sold these products all over the world and did quite well with them.
Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. So the questions I have, like me, like I said, it's right to be a pessimist at the right time. Yeah. And a lot of times the best time to be an optimist is when everybody's pessimistic. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. The best defense is really good offense. And during a challenging economy like we're in, and I think about to get more in, it's an extraordinary time to make some big moves, but you got to make the right moves. It's a game of chess.
So let's say somebody is an entrepreneur right now. And, I live in a pretty affluent area. Yeah. And I go cruising through the Biltmore shopping center, and shops are closing left and right. And their customers are the right customers. They have money, but they're not spending for some reason. And my friend's men's store closed and all this, and he had great product, great staff. He knew his stuff. It was good for me because everything went 70% on sale. So I bought everything I could from him.
I like your jacket.
This came from the store across the street from him, or across the aisle from him. But the best time to go shopping was everything's on sale.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not good for the retailer.
No.
Right. You know what I mean? But if you're the optimist, you're going there, oh, everything's bad. This is good because I'm going to. Anyways, my friend, he had the best Italian clothes, best Italian suits, 70% off, man. My teeth went soft.
Wow.
I racked up my credit card going, because what happens after this, the next product, because there was too much inventory. After COVID, they just they built too much inventory. And then the economy got worse and they couldn't sell it. But for the customer, it was great. So it's being a pessimist and an optimist at the same time. So, but if you're a small business person and you're feeling it right now, something is wrong. And what's interesting too, people can't find staff.
It's the biggest challenge. I mean, the biggest challenge. Supply chain is something everyone's been talking about, but high quality, high capacity, capable talent is what I find in all of my businesses to be the number one opportunity and the number one problem. It's a big problem. And, I think it's only going to get worse. It doesn't seem that we have a society that is as motivated to work as we have seen quite candidly globally in the past.
Right. So, I went to military school and I'm trained to be a merchant seaman. I drove tankers for Standard Oil. And when a storm was coming up, it's called batten down the hatches. Get ready for the ride that's coming. So what does a small entrepreneur do today to batten down the hatches and get ready for the ride?
Well, it's all about efficiency. I mean, I think you have to figure out how you can protect margins. There's a story you just told about the clother and the challenges that they had. They ultimately had to give up margin in order to move their products. So I think the greatest thing you can do in a time like this is make sure you have the right people on your team, but make sure that you are absolutely over delivering. And if you're building a business, engineer a business that you're going to outperform when it comes to the value proposition you bring to the marketplace, greater than anyone else. Robert, as you said, now is going to be a tough time, but it's also going to be an opportunistic time. And you hear the wealthy people talk a lot about, I want to keep my powder dry for when the market goes south. And that's because they understand that business operators and consumers are not going to act sanely in a lot of cases. So, I would say first and foremost, just delivering an efficiently operating business. You want to have the best people, but you want to have a lean team. You want to have the best products, and you want to do your very best to protect your margin.
So let me explain. This guy is at the best shopping center. Yeah. He had the best customers cruising through there. He had the best products, and he still went down. He had 4 stores. He's now back to 1. So, do you know what I mean? And the guy was good. His staff was knowledgeable, fantastic, great location. Everything you think is like this is from Ralph Lauren, and they were right next door to each other. So you got that. So I kept looking at it going, this doesn't make any sense. So I think the customer dried up on him. And that's the only way I can look at it.
Well, I think the customer dried up on him. And I think you'd be the first to, agree that the economy, the global economy has changed greatly in the past 24 months. I mean, it's been an insane cycle and people haven't known what to do. Do you buy a lot of inventory because you feel like there's a lot of pent up demand that hasn't been served? Or do you drive efficiency? Do you operate leanly? It's hard to predict what a retail customer is going to do. And one of my favorite men's clothing stores is in Scottsdale there. It's called the Clothery. And,
this store's right next to the Clothery.
Yeah. And I bought it. Yeah, I bought a ton of stuff there. Yeah. I bought a ton of stuff, and I can tell you, I know some billionaires personally that shop at that store, and I can tell you there's a few things going on, and one of them may be that they're not wearing as many suits as they had in the past. But there's a lot of dynamics. I mean, you have to have your antenna on consumer behavior right now. If you're in the consumer product goods business, has got to be high, and you've got to really know your marketplace.
Okay, this is what I say to small business guys. When the economy starts to crunch in, people panic. And I said, at that point, you better step up your promotion. And you spend on promotion. And the guys that stopped spending on promotion went out of business. But we can't afford to. I said, you also cannot not afford to. But they don't promote. So Rich Dad, I mean, we stepped up promotion huge. And our sales are through the roof. I was on Neil Cavuto 4 times in the last 4 weeks. You know, we're stepping promotion up heavy, 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 heavy. Every time on Neil Cavuto, our sales go through the roof. Yeah. But when I told this one clothing, he had the best product for men I've ever seen, but he wouldn't spend on promotion. So I went, silly, you know.
Yeah, I've seen that in a lot of businesses. I can tell you some of the product, but I'm in an outdoor sporting good industry in one of the companies I own. And we're promoting now and marketing now more than we've ever before.
Amen. Everybody listen to that.
And we're spending the money. We're doing it smart. We're leveraging technology. We're using digital mediums, digital platforms. And, you know, I tell you, AI has been building up for a long time, but it is becoming more practical and usable. And, you know, I couldn't think of a better time for that level of efficiency from a technological perspective to be introduced into our marketplace. So we are ferociously marketing right now, and we're becoming even more of a marketing and sales organization than we've ever had before. We need the customer to see us first and last.
Right. You need to make the offer out there, what's available. And I know the people that are cutting back because the customer is cutting back. That's suicide at that. When you cut your throat at that point, you know. So,
you know, I think there's been a level of arrogance. I don't understand it, but I've seen a lot of companies that they've had some level of entitlement that's happened through the whole coronavirus and through this whole process, that they think the customers they're going to stack them high and watch customers buy. And that's just not how the economy is today. You got to show value and you got to get in front of your customer. And that's the most important thing you could do.
Yeah, the sad thing was this guy was in the middle of all these men's stores. Like I said, got this jacket from Polo. Clothery is right next door to them. So he was surrounded by men's stores, but he stopped promoting. It's interesting, you know. And he had some of the, made my teeth soft looking at some of the fine Italian clothes he had, 70% off. I mean, I would have advertised that. But
the auto industry is a good model to follow when it comes to marketing and promotion. I mean, they have a supply and demand issue. There's much more demand than there is supply. But even during that, they've continued to advertise and market, and they do not stop because they do not want to get their brand away from your mind. And so marketing and sales are a brilliant thing, and it's a global discipline, right? No matter if you're doing business, no matter where you're doing business, it's a global discipline. You just got to be committed to it, and you can't give up on it. But you have to spend your dollars wisely, and that's most important.
And what Vic is saying, most small business people cut back. They stop spending when they should be spending on marketing and advertising because sales equals income. But they
get scared. They get scared.
So let's leave that as tip number one. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, just know that bad times are the best times sometimes to start a business. I've only started in bad times because everything else is going to shut down and lots of opportunity when things are slow. But what happens is, like many small business people, they cut back on the spending on marketing and advertising, or they market and advertise to the wrong customer, or they don't even know who their customer is. I mean, it's basically, who's your customer, right, Vic?
Yeah, Robert, you hit on a great point. Customer retention is the most, it is so important right now. Knowing your customer is the price of admission, right? Yes. If you're in business, knowing your customer, knowing what your customer likes, loves, what they care about, where they see value, that's a price of admission in being business. But in our current times, you cannot be too relentless about retaining your customer. And that's the game we're in right now, is if you can retain your customer and you can show them the maximum amount of value, you're not just going to have them right now, but as this market turns and it gets healthier, they are going to be in line to optimize their spending with you. Whether you're in a B2B industry or a B2C industry, it's all the same, and you've got to have a relentless focus on your customer.
Amen, amen, amen. So when we come back, Vic, we'll go into more. What would you say to a startup right now? Let's say, I can't believe this unemployment is as low as it can. Thousands of people being laid off by Amazon, Apple, Microsoft. and people, I can't find an employee. I mean, I know that's legitimate. They can't find employees. So I want to find out what you think, but if you're going to be a startup, I can't think of a better time to start. So we come back. We're with Vic Keller. He's the CEO and founder of KLV Capital and Experience Ventures. We'll be right back.
If you're concerned about high inflation, looming recession, a stock market correction, or out of control spending in Washington, this is an important message to hear. Because the fact is, during every major crisis in U.S. history, many of those who failed to prepare watched their savings, investments, or retirement funds go down, while many with the foresight to own gold helped preserve their purchasing power. Gold even made some folks richer. Now we're facing several major crises at once, and experts say we may soon face even more economic trouble. So please don't wait. Learn the simple way you can diversify with gold and put yourself on the road to financial peace of mind, even in uncertain times. The new free 2023 Gold Guide from our friends at Gold Alliance can show you how. Just visit www.freegoldguide.com/Robert or call 1-800-473-4585. Republican Governor and conservative commentator Mike Huckabee says Gold Alliance is the only gold provider he recommends to his friends and family. Find out why and visit freegoldguide.com/Robert or call now at...
Feeling powerless over current events and your financial future? Financial freedom is your freedom. Robert Kiyosaki is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Over 40 million people have taken Robert's advice. Now it's your turn. Attend Robert's free virtual wealth building event. Claim your free access now at richdadfree.com. Don't wait, access is limited. Go to richdadfree.com. That's richdadfree.com.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news and bad news about money, the economy, about startups, about staying in business, survival. You know, where our guest today is Vic Keller, CEO and founder of KLV Capital and Experience. He also runs a private equity firm, so he's always on the hunt for small businesses that have a chance to grow, and so he's a very important resource. So, Vic, when we were just talking during the break about how you still, it starts with number one, who is your customer? And you'd be surprised how many times I ask people that question, and they don't really know where they come from, what they come for. You know, they just they're happy, but they don't ask them, who are you, where you come from? As simple as that. But anyway, as a private equity guy, and you see a small business, what makes your teeth water? You go, well, this business has potential no matter what's going to happen. Or another way of saying it, what mistakes does a small entrepreneur make that you're not interested in letting them, working with them?
Well, no matter what business they're in, number one is the people. And so the founder, it could be the CEO, it could be the leader, but his leadership team, her leadership team, no matter what type of business it is, number one, we're looking at management. And,
Amen.
I've been studying.
Vic, the rule of thumb is money follows management.
Yeah, it totally. And you teach that often. And I can tell you, I've been studying business since I was a young man. And, whether it be the most sophisticated, successful investors in the world like Warren Buffett, or it be, someone that has a small business, it always comes back to the people. And I had a business partner. It wasn't Mr. Buffett, but a business partner that was a multi-billionaire. And all he ever said is, Vic, don't ever forget the three most important things you're ever going to have in business. And it's people, people, people. And so I would say, whether you're in startup mode, whether you're dealing with this economy right now, there is nothing more important than making sure you have the very, very best people in the marketplace. And as you mentioned before we went on break, there's a lot of big companies right now, specifically technology companies, that are releasing just hundreds of thousands of extraordinarily experienced, capable, young, energetic, passionate people into the workforce. And I can tell you, I hope they all find my name and phone number and email address, because I have never in my life had a greater need and greater opportunities for extraordinary people. So if you're building a business today, just rule number one, job number one is surround yourself with people that are tenacious, that are ferocious learners, that understand what's going on in the economy. That is what's going to build your business. You may have invented the greatest thing ever known, but there's nothing that's going to allow your business to scale and survive greater than having extraordinary talent around you. And it's hard to get that right all the time, right? I mean, it's a tough, it's the hardest job in business is people, but it's also the biggest opportunity.
I can hear people say, well, I don't have the money to hire them. Well, that's called a partner. Do you know
Exactly.
what I mean? You want to find the right partner. I've always acknowledged my wife, Kim. Man, without her, I'd never make it. But we're in the same boat paddling just as hard. 2 oars are better than one. And
always
it starts with the partner. If you're small with no capital, we started with nothing, and we just kept building it day by day by day. And, I don't know how you feel about it, but many times I'll meet an entrepreneur, and let's say it's a male entrepreneur, and his wife is not into the business. They suffer. I've noticed that you suffer because your wife would rather, whatever the thing is, she sits at home and they fight about this. I'm going, whew. But that's where it starts, in my opinion. If your husband or wife is not on the same boat with you, man, it's
Robert, I've been married for 27 years, and I've been an entrepreneur for 25 of those. And my wife and I talk about my business literally every night at dinner, right? I mean, she's by the way, she's gotten pretty dang opinionated and educated over the past few years. And so I guess I'm guilty of that, but she is absolutely a valuable resource. I agree. Partnership. And you hit on such an important point. The partnership mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset. I find so many people that want to be in business and they say, oh, I'm not an entrepreneur. And that's fine. If they want to say they are, they aren't. But the reality of it is, if you have a partnership mindset, I had a business partner for years based right there where you are in Phoenix, Arizona, and he hired the most capable leaders across the country to run his retail organization. And every single one of them was a partner. Every one of them had a piece of equity. Every one of them felt ownership. And by the way, he didn't have to pay them more because of that. The businesses earned more and they were more successful, and they got to share in the profitability of the business. So he was never giving anything up. He was getting their heart. He was getting their family. He was getting their mind, and that allowed everybody to win. So if you can have a partnership mindset, I can tell you, I mean, my base salary, early on in my career was very, very low, but I had someone that had a partnership mindset, and it allowed me to become ultimately wealthy. So it's super important. If you want to get 110% of someone, treat them as a partner, treat them as an entrepreneur. Don't treat them as an employee.
Yeah. And I went to military school and I had 6 years U.S. Marine Corps. And the first words were taught in both the military academy. This is Rungknocker, academy graduate. First thing we're taught is the word mission. I joined the Marine Corps. The word is mission. And so when I find somebody who cannot sell their mission, then you have an employee, if you know what I mean. They're just there for the money. And then, so like at the Rich Dad Company, I mean, they're immersed, they're dunked and boiled in the mission, because our mission is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity, and that's spiritual. So I don't go, it's not religious. But it's important to have the mission side of the business sold and make sure people buy into the mission. And every time I've had problems is when I had CEOs or presidents who were just there for the money. There's a difference between money and mission. Very, very big difference. Any comments on that?
Well, I think the biggest problem where that all starts is people don't have a clearly defined common mission. So I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, if you're not missionally focused and you're just tactically focused and you're trying to just get something done, but there's not a greater mission. I believe in, journey descriptions, not job descriptions, right? What's the journey going to be? What's the journey of the mission? What are you trying to accomplish? So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, but companies miss that. They confuse a mission statement for an actual mission. And let me tell you, when you were in the military going on a mission, it sure to heck wasn't about a mission statement. It was about the mission you were going on, which has got a lot of elements to it. And most companies, they're saying, hey, we're going to try to come up with a mission statement. Well, throw it out the door. I mean, that's not what it's about. It's about what is the common mission.
Yep, exactly. That reminds me of that George Patton movie and all that. And this one guy is in the hospital bed and he's dying and all. He said he wasn't dying. He was cell shocked. And he says, "I don't want to die. I don't want to die." And George Patton walks up to him and says, "Your job is not to die for your country. Your job is to make sure the bastard dies for his country." I mean,
so true.
You can't say that on television today anymore. You're so mean and cruel.
That's real.
And then the other thing is legal, ethical, moral. If somebody's unethical, immoral, or illegal, they're gone. And that comes from our code of honor and things like this, which is also spiritual. The Marine Corps has a very tight code. It starts with 2 words: semper fi. Don't leave anybody and you're always faithful forever. But those are all spiritual words. And when I went into the MBA program, I left. It was all about tactical, mental strategy. It wasn't really about like the Marine Corps, where we're clear on our mission first. We sell the mission all the way through. But when I hired these CEOs and presidents, they ultimately had to be fired. And because if you're not mission-driven, you're also then not legal, ethical, moral. It's really surprising how many people lie, cheat, and steal. Have you found that yourself?
I mean, people are desperate. And, yes. I hope it's not everyone. Sometimes it feels like people operate from a state of just fear and anxiety and are desperate. And, I can tell you in business, I try to position things where we can operate from a mindset of adrenaline. We want to be excited. We want to be motivated. Right. We want to be encouraging. And, when people get desperate, they do really dumb things. And we're seeing that more, quite candidly, all over the world and certainly in the country I live in. We're seeing it more than we've ever seen it before. And it's just sad, Robert.
Well, it starts with leadership too. From the top down. And then,
starts at home.
Yeah. What Jordan Peterson says, you think tough men are mean or something. Look at the damage a weak leader will do.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I don't know, I'm not political, but I've never seen a weaker leader than Biden. I've never seen a weaker leader.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's
sad. So anyway, really when we're talking about entrepreneurship, we're talking about leadership, aren't we?
100%. That's the mission of building anything starts with leadership, and it's got to be clearly defined. It's collaboration's great. Having a great team in place is great, but I've never in my life found anyone that wanted to win that didn't want to win for and with a great leader. And even as an entrepreneur, I always think about, who am I winning for? And fortunately, I kind of flip the roles and I let my people have that in my mind. They're the leaders, right? I want to win for them, and they expect me to do my part. So leadership is something that it seems is going away. People are scared to lead, and we need leadership right now globally more than we ever have before. And there's going to be a fantastic opportunity for young up and coming professionals to really focus on what the identity and the meaning and the definition of leadership is and live and act it out.
So Vic, I get into a lot of trouble because I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of times women come up and they say, I can't find a man. So, well, what's happening? I said, well, they're all TikTok dancers. Do you know what I mean? I just crack up, man. I'm watching these shows. These guys are like doing all this stuff. I'm going, that's not what a U.S. Marine does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the whole world is changing so fast. Is when young men want to be TikTok dancers, I'm going, holy mackerel. So the women are complaining, and our leadership, in my opinion, is gone unless you're a TikTok business. But it's such a changing world, but the principles stay the same, don't they?
Yeah. It's the
same.
Unfortunately, with technology, you can think you're rich and good looking when you're really, poor and not good looking. And, so it's a fallacy that a lot of people fall into. And, I know some have done a great job monetizing it, but as you could tell, and we all know, most of them, it's a pretty empty promise.
Yeah. So in this world today, legal, ethical, moral, spiritual, not necessarily religious, but you're serving a higher calling than just the money. So, Mr. Keller, thank you very much. Again, this is Vic Keller. Can people call you if they really want? Are you open to that, or?
Yeah, I am. I would say it would be best if they sent me a direct message, and I'd be happy to communicate with them, and we could set up a time to talk and give them my phone number. I would just hate to miss a call and not know who I'm calling back. But if they want to DM me, they could go to Instagram, and it's open for everyone. And it's at Vic Keller, just VICKELLER. And I would be absolutely happy to set up time to get on the phone with people that have, serious, thoughtful things to talk about. And I've tried to call some of the most influential, impactful, amazing people throughout my life to learn from them. And Robert, I have to tell you, most of the time they answer the phone and they take the call and have the meeting. So I've learned from that, and I want to give back in that way. Thank you.
And thank you, because I met Vic at Prager University's donor. I mean, Prager is we're joint venturing with them into, education via their medium, which is cartoons and things like this. But thank you for supporting Dennis Prager and Prager University.
Well, they're doing amazing work there. I was just in a meeting the other day with David Prager, listening to some of the new stuff that he and his dad are doing and what's going on. That organization is absolutely fantastic. And talk about being missionally focused, Robert. Yep. They are on a mission to make this world a better place, and I really support what they're doing.
Yep. So, Vic Keller, thank you very much. And anybody who has the opportunity to talk to this great person to find out, if you're tired of being a TikTok dancer, call Vic Keller.
Thank you for having me. Great to be with you.
So when we come back, we're going to have final words on being an entrepreneur in troubled times. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. I want to thank Vic Keller, CEO and founder of KLV Capital Experience. And once again, you can listen to the Rich Dad Radio program anytime, anywhere on iTunes and Android. And also, all of our programs are archived at richdadradio.com. We archive them for one reason, so you can listen to it again if you want to listen to it again. But most importantly, you have a friend or a possible business partner or a wife or a brother-in-law or children. Get together and listen to this program, because I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're heading some rough times financially, globally. So this is it's the best time to get rich when it's bad. But most people want it to be good before they get rich. And the other thing, thousands of people are being let go right now. And it's a great time to be an entrepreneur. Any words there, Sarah? What'd you pick up?
No, I completely agree. If anything that we learned during the pandemic, the whole world was shut down and people had to become creative and innovative. Some of the biggest brands that we know just now were started during the pandemic.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And so I totally, absolutely agree with that message that these hard times create opportunities, and you just have to, we talked a little bit about fear and, getting past that. If you have that entrepreneur spirit and mindset, opportunities like this are the time for you.
Right. But also, he talked about using technology, and Sarah knows I'm as backward technology-wise, but we have smart technology people.
Right. And that's the point, is rely on your team. We have a team of people. I can't do what Rob does. Rob doesn't do what I do, but because we surround you, we're all better for it. And he touched a little bit about the change in digital, advertising, how traditional advertisers are really struggling right now.
Right.
And that's just being adaptive with the times. Go where your customers are.
I was watching YouTube, even Fox Television has a YouTube
correct
system,
channel. Yep.
So it's just adapt and change. And then if you don't know something, then find somebody who knows what you need to know.
Absolutely. And there's no shortage of that. There's no shortage of finding people who may know something and be able to help you out.
But most importantly, be legal, ethical, and moral. You have no idea how much, never cheated on Kim and all that stuff. I just don't do that. But I have friends who do, and I don't know how they get, my conscience would bother me. But I'm not here to be the Pope to tell them what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we close out this show, it's an entrepreneur show, starting businesses. You've started several businesses. What would be the number one thing that you would tell an entrepreneur or startup to focus on right now?
Well, it's what's your mission. You know, what does I always ask myself this. I'm not really religious. I'm not preaching. I ask myself, what does God want done? What problem needs to be solved? And if that problem, you know, touches your heart and your mind and your spirit, then that might be where you focus on. And there's no scarcity of problems today. There's no scarcity of problems today. So focus on serving more people.
That's
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
So thank you for listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show.